to go outside as well. So we had some people join in. Michael McFadden, can you tell us where you're calling from?
Howdy, I'm Michael. I'm calling from LA, Los Angeles.
Okay. And Leah, where are you calling from?
I'm calling in from Montana and Helena.
Very cool. I see Caitlin is joining us now too. This is Leah. I just ran across your postcards when I was unpacking some stuff from Art Week. So and I was like, oh, I think it's a 5x7. So it's my reference point. So, and Caitlin, tell us where you're calling from.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yay. We have how many Baltimore people? 2 Baltimore people this evening. There's like a slew of people in Baltimore. I don't know what's going on there, but I hear it's a pretty good community of artists. So no, okay. Anyway, Paul.
It's awesome.
Paul, tell us where you're calling from.
Vancouver, Canada.
Vancouver. Good to see you. We have people coming in. Okay, Majo, ¿dónde estás?
En Ciudad de México.
Ciudad de México. Perfect.
Yeah, city.
And Victoria Gemela, where are you calling from?
Hola, hello to everybody. Also from Mexico City.
Fantastic. Okay, so lots of people here tonight. Everybody who's here has participated in exhibitions or the residency program or different aspects of media publishing and all the various different things that are part of the project. And I would love to hear from some of the artists who've done their residency. If you felt any shifts in your creativity, your personal perspective, or in your studio perspectives as a result of the residency. Anybody want to jump in on that one? I'm gonna pick people too.
I can go, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this is my 3rd residency, like back to back. And when I first started, I had taken a 10-year hiatus from making any kind of art at all. I had been using my creative talents in the corporate world. And when Michael asked me to join, I thought it would be a good opportunity to get just the creative back and forth again. I was creating by myself alone in a studio when I did start getting back into it. And because of this residency, it really gave me the accountability and just a motivation for creating a practice that didn't exist for 10 years, basically since art school before that. And since having the deadlines with a few of our shows that came through, and just having like one day a week, every day to talk about the practice and then get feedback from the rest of the group has like tremendously changed my work. So I seriously value this group and everything that's come through it. And it's been really beautiful to be a part of a community. And yeah, that's my story.
Jennifer, you came through, I think, like the Call for Entry website. And your work was, I think, in like the 2nd issue, but it was like work from 10 years ago.
Yep.
So it was really surprising when we started to work with you how your work had evolved through the time and everything, and it's very exciting to see where it's going. Anybody else want to talk a little bit about their experience in the residency? You can unmute yourself or raise your hand if you'd like to. Michael, it looks like you're unmuted.
I am.
Was that purposeful, or did I just found like a weakness? I'm like a good.
I was unmuted and distracted. No, it's been great. It's been what, almost 3 years now?
Yeah. Actually, I was looking through the archive, and I remember you were in the front gallery space, and I think you were part of a big residency show, one of the first big residencies.
Right.
There. Yeah.
Right. It's been great for me. What I really like is each time I do it, something absolutely new pops up. New work. It's nice to have something very specific, like not specific, but kind of a guideline. And I was kind of always amazed at what would pop up. And it was not my norm of what I was doing, except for the pointillist part. But
Right.
beyond that,
But we also pushed you a lot as well. I mean,
yes,
I think the group saw things in your work that maybe you weren't as focused on, and then new work developed out of that as part of the process as well. So
really, especially with ephemera,
uh-huh.
and that was great because I ended up doing a kind of like a scroll, but that was one of the biggest pieces I've ever done till this last year. Also, it was great getting me ready because I just finished a big solo show here in North Carolina. 64 pieces,
Jesus.
and one of them was bigger than the ephemera. I will post my artist talk or the link to it. But the residency really prepared me and got me in this work mode to be able to do that. And the art center that put it on was very helpful, and it just worked out perfectly.
A lot of the people, raise your hand if you've had an article written about you or a podcast episode come out. Yeah, most of the people here. Yeah, so yeah. And Jorge, I'm working on yours now, so your podcast now. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't I think I come from an educational background, working as a professor for many years, and the way this community runs is very much the way any one of my classrooms would run, which would drive most educators absolutely mad, because I believe in sort of a free flow of ideas, and I don't try to force anybody to do anything, or I just allow the momentum of the group to kind of carry things through. And I always say I'm like the bumper car that keeps things inside of the lanes and stuff, or at least in the same space. I don't know how well I keep things inside the lane. A lot of really good creative things come out of it all the time. Katie, we showed your printed wedding dress at the ephemera last fall. And that sticks out as a very good example of how the bumper car system of allowing the consciousness of the group to sort of plant seeds.
Yeah.
Started with a project that was very different than what you actually end up showing.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I started with. I was sitting here thinking, I mean, the residency was amazing. I live in Denver. I have a studio in the other room. I work alone. I'm just kind of this solo artist. I don't know a ton of people in Denver. And so for me, it was like getting into this community, and instantly being with this group of people felt really nice, and nice to have ideas bouncing around with everyone, and just working on being open to ideas as well, and not being, I think the biggest thing that I got out of it, because the wedding dress was like, it's a real wedding dress. I don't work on clothes, I work on paper, and two-dimensional, and it stretched me in this incredible way. And then also just not being afraid to make mistakes, which is always something that's been, I've been doing this my whole adult life. I'm 53, and I'm always like, I feel myself getting constricted. And so just being loose, oh God. And it was fun. And I got to go to Mexico City, and I haven't been there in a long time, and it was wonderful and just beautiful to see all of the artwork together and the space and everything that you do, Michael, it was just incredible.
I think that's one of my favorite parts about what happens is, and I was afraid when we lost our gallery space and residency space a year ago, that the dynamic shift, it wouldn't, the community wouldn't survive the dynamic shift and not having a physical space. And so we've been doing shows in Casa Culturas. Last summer, we did a show in Ventura, California. And then we did a show in San Diego, California. And I laughed just because I ended up transporting a lot of art from Ventura, like sort of like a Grapes of Wrath down the California coast, carrying artwork, and then return to carry artwork across the border into Tijuana, and fly back to Mexico City. So last summer was kind of an interesting experience for me, pulling outside of, like, we've done everything inside of Mexico City prior, but there had to be some advantage to not having a physical space. And so I've been in constant search of partnerships with cultural organizations and galleries, and, just trying to create opportunities for more exhibitions. And I thought, well, if we're not in Mexico City necessarily 100% of the time with the physical space, then what opportunities open up? And that's more visibility. So and then this year we'll be in LA for Trist Art Fair in July, and then Baltimore with Maryland Art Place in September, and then the big queer art fair here in Mexico City for Dia de los Muertos. Caitlin, I'm going to pick on you because you're kind of a dual role here, because you're a triple threat. You're exhibitions, residency, and you're a curator. She works at Maryland Art Place, supporting Maryland Art Place and doing like a million projects at one time. Caitlin, can you talk a little bit about your experience with the residency, and what do we expect for September? Because we've talked about like Merkin shows and
Yeah. So I think the residency has been great in terms of, I was interested more so from an accountability standpoint, because I do wear so many hats. Like Michael kind of prefaced, I work as an exhibitions director in Baltimore for contemporary art space. And then I also founded my own collective and gallery, which is all female identifying artists. And then I'm also an exhibiting artist. So I get lost and I'm a teacher. So I get lost in the shuffle. So I onboarded this in order to kind of hold myself accountable and like just be able to connect with other artists, to remain productive, but also, talk through the peaks and valleys of creating, especially in the political climate, which I didn't know at the time. But I would say it's been beneficial on a lot of different levels so far, insofar as like, yeah, I've established myself pretty regionally, especially in the state of Maryland and in Baltimore, but I've had the opportunity to exhibit in Mexico, which was the first for me. And then in addition to that, just in terms of establishing a community outside of Baltimore, Maryland, like that's been super beneficial and rewarding. So I can't sing Michael's praises enough. Like, I think it's a really great opportunity, and I've certainly benefited from it in a number of ways. And then in terms of the upcoming exhibition in regards to Maryland Art Place, so what you're referencing is we do a biannual Merkin fashion show. A Merkin is a pubic wig that was adorned by women, and we did it. The first iteration of it was done, I believe, in 2021. It was postponed because of COVID, but it was surrounding the 100 years of the women's suffrage movement. It was in celebration of that, and we did a Merkin Dream exhibition, which was surrounding Trump's candidacy in the first round. Didn't know there'd be a second, but here we are. So that was kind of like a parody a bit on that. And so this will be our third iteration of the Merkin fashion show, which will coincide with the exhibition that Michael's referencing. Bureau Queer Art will be like our partner in establishing kind of, we're still working out a theme, like thematically, like what we're going to do, but this will that exhibition will serve as the backdrop for that annual or biannual programming. And then Ken Hall, who's a local fashion designer, will be partnering in terms of like soliciting models. And then we work with a lot of local artists, but we're opening it up to anyone who's a part of the Bureau of Queer Art to participate. So I'll circulate that call once it becomes available. But we're a fairly large contemporary art space. If you don't know about us, like I 10 out of 10 recommend you look us up. But I'm hopeful that there'll be more opportunities like throughout the course of this relationship outside of just the residency itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to ask Alejandro Cabeza. Alejandro, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, guys. I'm fine. I'm great. And you?
Very good, very good. Alejandro, you were in the residency, I think, 3 times. And I met you in Art Week the year before, 2024.
Yes.
Alejandro was like stalking. He showed up the art fair. He was outside the gallery. He came in the gallery several times. Like I just kept seeing him everywhere. And he's a very interesting visual presentation as well. So I started a conversation with him. And then, I don't know, shortly after that, you ended up joining the residency and you showed in Ventura.
I've been in Ventura and San Diego, and then I took 2 residents, and the result present in Juan Rulfo in October, and the last one it was in Clavo.
And
I
and
sorry.
from our show that you did in what was the name of that Casa Cultura we used this Emilio
Yes, sorry, I forgot that.
and
Emilio
you're doing
Carballido too.
right.
It was Juan Rulfo, Emilio Carballido, Clavo, and I have like 6 months in Artsy,
See,
and I sold an art piece to New York,
yes.
and it was so fun. I usually work alone, and since I took the residence, it helped me a lot because I always have a lot of info in my head, and uh, the participation in the residence it's so good for me because all you guys help me to have more clear my idea, and I can put the concept in a different idea since I begin. So I really recommend that because it all the visions, there are a lot of techniques and a lot of ways to see the art, but they are the complement perfect for us. So I'm so happy to be here and to know most of you. I know you in person, so I'm so grateful, and I really recommend that.
Alejandro, you have a show that came out of the last Casa Cultura show. You're presenting a solo show this summer, right?
Yes, and in July I have a solo show in Emilio, in Juan Rulfo,
Awesome.
in Squawk. Yes.
Okay, I thought it was in June for some reason. I didn't think it was July.
I have to put all in the last days of June, and it's beginning July 1st to July 21.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
All right, so one more person, Leia, of the famed postcard that I have sitting on my desk. And
That's funny that you brought that one up. I came to the residency thinking about abstracting glaciers and kind of what they meant to me at a time during COVID, about replenishing and about having that that time to myself, which was really hard to get with all the people around me on a regular basis. I too run a art center here in Montana and I wear all the hats as well. And I think your residency really gave me that time to carve out not just the time to hear other people's ideas too, but also to hear myself talk about my ideas was also a little bit different. I didn't have a lot of codification in where I was going. I was in the very early outsets, and I landed in a different world than just those 2D maps, abstracted maps. And I was able to expand really what I saw about what was regenerative, what I was questioning. And I think it's really, really instructive to have each of you reflect on that as well. And I also enjoyed reflecting on everyone else's work too. I think it all became this amplifying theater where we were able to kind of act out in a sense, like how we would present to the public and find that greater clarification. And I don't think that's something I would have been able to do on my own at all, or even with the artists that I do associate with regularly in my own town. It's very much a clay pottery town, not many 2D artists. So yeah, I found it incredibly valuable. I hope I can join up again soon.
I think one of the points you brought up was really interesting because I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it made me recall this, and I hadn't thought about it in a while, was I presented some of the work that I was in process on, and I realized it was the first time that I was actually speaking out loud about the work, and I'd been working on it for over a year. And I remember that that was part of the reason I started the residency program online. I mean, it, you know, obviously we've had the physical residency and the pandemic, you know, changed the need to go online. Is there, I don't know, it's kind of an odd thing to ask, but I mean, I would have never thought that being online in a community would be satisfying in this, and you know, and then I think the pandemic switched our minds about that. And I'm curious how other people feel about like online communities and their experiences, and what makes them work for you, and you know, what kind of things do you try to avoid?
I would have never met any of you.
That's very true. I don't know that I would have ever met you, Michael. But if I'd seen that beard in a crowd, I would have gone straight to that beard. So what about exhibiting artists? Victoria, we've been working with you as part of Gemelas, the twin duos, since I think maybe 2021, 2022. And you've been a big part of all of our shows. I guess I remain completely fascinated by your work and the evolution of it, which I think is one of the biggest advantages of these long-term relationships that I'm able to have with artists over so many years, is I get to see your work evolve and become better and better, and reveal new things. Victoria, I recently republished a podcast with an interview that we had done in like I think 2020. I'm looking at the decor of the gallery, and I'm thinking it must have been like just after the pandemic. We were all sitting with a little bit of space between us, so I'm thinking that's what it was. What's your experience been like as an exhibiting artist over all these years?
It's been great, actually. I have done with you lots of performances as well for openings, and being surrounded by all the works of many of you guys has been, it's very like a enriching experience for me, and it nourishes the actions I made, and also the reflections that I had, mostly to realize that there's lots of speeches right now currently, I would say, in the contemporary art world, that trying to make very obvious how we are different. But I think more than that, I think I like to focus on how we are diverse. And that diversity is something that I have always see and be surrounded in the space, especially from artists that are in other country, like most of you guys. And historically, we had a history. So for me, it's not trying to see you as something different or something in the negative side, but quite the opposite. So for me, it has been amazing, this journey as well, and especially trying to build the performance I build for every opening is always very exciting, and I'm looking forward for the next one.
I know. Oh my God, that performance you did at Ephemeral, the Dia de los Muertos show, was just astounding. And it also had the added effect of the building being so old and the floors moved as you were like dancing and moving through the space, and all the walls were going like this. And so it literally felt like you were affecting every element of the space, as well as like every person in the space was completely focused on the performance.
Yeah, it's about like the energies. That's why I mentioned the work. So I think the work in the walls, the sculpture, the paintings, the installations also make the action more coherent and coherent. So yeah, it's always great to be there.
Thank you so much. It's exciting. Like I said, I really, a lot of people think, you know, it's like I'm a curator who likes to see work develop over time. So I'm really interested in investing time in the artist and seeing how things grow and create and what opportunities can be found. So I think that's a really important. Michael McFadden, I know you've participated in this. You're in this current exhibition.
Yeah.
And you were actually in our World AIDS Day special issue as well.
I was in the San Diego show.
Oh, you were. That's right. That's right. So I was trying to remember because I was like, where did I originally meet you through? And it was through the San Diego show.
Yeah.
Summer, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. So it's a relatively new collaboration, but I just really appreciate all your support, and I've been admirers of a lot of the folks on this call's work. So it's great to see you in a tiny little square. And I feel very grateful to have a space where queer art is being highlighted and celebrated and promoted, and an opportunity to kind of collaborate and connect with other folks. So appreciate being a part of the crew.
Very exciting. And I think I rewrote your feature and published it today, or
I think it was earlier today. Yeah.
okay. So I lose track of time. I don't know what day of the week it is. I thought the gardener was coming today, but it's Tuesday. So I didn't put out the trash, and I thought the gardener was coming. So, no, I really appreciate it. And what I love as well is when the artists who are in the community bring attention to the projects that they're participating in, and then we meet new people as well. So it's really cool, because as the flavors of the shows change and different artists join, like you could see who's coming along based on like their feeds and things as well. So other artists working in the same way, or admirers of each one of you, will start following, and I'm like, hello, how are you? Who are you? Reaching through the internet, like I did with Hera. And your project. Hera, could you talk a little bit about your project? We presented it as part of our special edition for the World's AIDS Day, but we continue to try to drive support for your project as well.
The project is a short experimental documentary film. It's called Viejito Enfermito Grito. It's bilingual, but mostly there's not a lot of talking. Set up into 3 segments. The first is a kind of introduction to the Viejito dance from Michoacan, from the Purépecha people. And the second part is sort of going over the illnesses that are not so commonly known or even talked about in long-term HIV or AIDS survivors. And then the third part is, of course, kind of me sort of gathering my energies to just to show a growth, and to also to offer the experience to people. I've seen a lot of people go through the film, and the feedback has been so varied, it's sometimes difficult for me to see what people are getting out of it, because the people that I have asked are usually family and they're so attached to me. They just,
Right.
oh, look at all he went through. And it's like, no. They're like, this is about a messaging. This is about identifying a kind of silence within. And most of my work is about silence and how to attain it or how to utilize it to gain insight or inspiration from something other than my own experience. I don't know where that really leaves us, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I was moved when I saw the video that was created, which was part of I think it was funded through Visual Aids in New York City.
Visual Aid, their annual.
It had been a part of World AIDS Day the year before. So it was in my mind, and we share a mutual connection, a close friend that I have in Mexico City, who I've known since, like, strangely showed up in the gallery for one of the shows, and I hadn't seen him since I was like 24. So like, and he just walked right up to me and he's like, I know you. And if you know him, you can imagine his long finger, like, and he's very tall. And I was like, you do? Well, I feel like I know you. And if I don't, I probably will soon. And Larry has been a very big supporter of the project and the community, and has shown up many times. But like, just seeing the film itself, like, was really dramatic, because I've always been on the, as an HIV positive person, and an activist for many years, I'm like, everybody celebrates this ideal of the medicines and what they absolve us of, and what they bring, in terms of benefits. But there's also sort of the backside of that over a long span of time, those medicines, may not maintain their effects or bring other side effects or other medical conditions. And, celebrating is really important, and it's quite an accomplishment that we have all these medicines. And hopefully, number 47 won't take away all those medicines as well. So, we need to be, I think, as a community, we still need to be vigilant about our responsibilities to one another and taking care of one another as well. So that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I've had people get very upset at me when I ask them to take responsibility for that, but everybody has their own way. Sebastian, I discovered you through Instagram, and we were able to show your works despite all the attempts by customs and to hold your work for as long as possible. We managed to get your work at Clavo. Mark, you'll remember his was below yours. His was the palette, or the palette knife work, the impasto style. You just did a residency where?
In Italy.
In Italy. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun.
Just you saying that made me feel a little bit fatter, because all I can think about is food.
I know, there were some really good meals over there.
Yeah. How was the residency over there?
It was wonderful. My first ever residency. I think what I liked so much about it was that it was pulling from different mediums across the world. There was a therapist in the program, a couple writers, a dancer, a few painters, and it was just like I really loved the variety of mediums, all of us coming together and oftentimes talking about something very similar, injustice, inequality, psychology, but just in these different forms. So I thought that was really interesting, just bringing all of these random people together across the world and finding so much commonality with us.
Right. I think that's a very powerful thing that happens within creativity, because even if every one of you works in a completely different way, there are these sort of unifying threads and experiences and desires, and and then when you get to the opportunity to share those with people, even we've had people like share you know, like highly personal things that are going on and how they're affecting, you know, their ability to create, or what a subject matter they're working on, learning how to talk about that in a way that supports what you want to happen outside of the studio as well, without diminishing the experience, you know, because sometimes subjects can be very uncomfortable, and, you know, knowing how to present them, and hearing what other people are experiencing with them also kind of alleviates some of the stress of what happens when the work leaves your studio and goes onto a wall. I celebrate anyone who has the ability to put their work on a wall and allow other people to come up to it and judge it, or refer to it in any way, because you know, it's a brave thing to do. I think also in this political climate, we're all experiencing some emotions around the changes that are going on. One of our partners sent a message to me today that they lost their NEA grant. And then there's some lines that he shared from the letter, which made me believe that the NEA is going to be focusing on religious projects that support religious communities more. That's all of it. It just feels, you know, I'm back at, you know, Maplethorpe and Cincinnati, and you know, thinking here we are again. We're all still having all NEA grants were canceled. Oh, you know, I'm a little slow down here in Mexico. I get my news piecemeal, and I kind of need it that way, because of the stress of all the volume of everything that's going on in the States right now is it's too much. But anyway, I'm drifting off into politics, and I don't like to do that. Elias, I feel like I've known you like since the beginning of time, and since we both have white beards, I think that might be true.
Yeah, I don't remember very well, but I think I discovered you on Instagram in 2020, I think.
Yeah, 2020, yeah.
We will never work together because I don't focus in queer art. I don't have many art about queer or gay art, but I think it's part of my essence to be create something queer, something to be the better for the LGBT plus people. So this time I of course I'm very grateful with you to the opportunity to show my art and to show something about then I can paint, and then I can show in my art.
Yeah, and I think you said something that you know, triggers me a little bit, because I try so hard to expand the definition of what queer is, because I don't think any community can get along without true diversity. But I grew up with LGBT, and then, you know, and then all the letters expanded and stuff, and then I found myself you know, 6 years ago, like looking at those letters and all the emblematic people of each of those letters, and I was like, I don't relate to any of them. And so I felt outside of the community, and that's why I've used the word queer, because I'm like, no, I think it has to be more expansive. It has to allow for all the different variations beyond those letters, because you can say you could fit yourself into a trans or a you know, a plus sign or something like that, but you know, it's like, why can't you just be who you are? So why not just be you? And I also find there's a lot of queer sensibility in even cisgendered art, and I think that that's really important as well, because the more we can unify and have allies, you know, the better it is for everyone. I think we all learn in the process of participating with even our allies and stuff. So Joan, I would love it if you talk about the project that you've been working on, and you have a solo show coming up, and just like in brief, not, you know, too.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I've been working with Michael now, I don't know, 3 years, maybe two years. I don't know. But I've been in like 3 shows in Mexico and 2 or 3 shows in California and in several editions of the magazine and the podcast. And that is all super exciting. But meeting you, all of you, is really kind of the best part of it. But yeah, I have a solo exhibition coming up at Towson University, which is here in the Baltimore area in the main gallery. And it's a huge gallery. So it really will be the biggest solo show I've put on. That's coming up in June, and I'm working on finishing up some new pieces, but really utilizing my time in the group to get feedback instead of just, you know, again, like working in a silo, like some of the others have said, you know, in our studios, where I don't get any feedback unless a random person stops by, or I invite, you know, a local artist to come in, like Caitlin, who's local. But getting that weekly feedback has been so great. And yeah, I'm really excited about putting on this show and adding some interactive elements, more than just like painting on the wall, bringing in some poetry, some more kind of user, let me say, I don't know, some more things for viewers to experience about my process and the background of the work. But the work itself, if you're not familiar with my work, is all portraits of lesbian couples. And the show is called Side by Side. Pretty excited about it. I'll be posting everywhere, especially on Instagram. So if you want to follow, please follow.
And we just sent your large dual totem, which was at Ephemero last October, the piece that greeted you at the front door, the huge sort of
the Frida inspired double portrait painting. Yeah, you just sent that back today on FedEx to Baltimore to a pretty penny.
Shipping. Oh my God. Yeah, no, shipping is like, and we learn in the process too. And today, I usually just show up with the shipping label and all the paperwork and everything. So I rarely have to really have a conversation with them. And then I was looking at it and they were like, oh, we're going to put like 25,000 US dollars value on this. And I was like, wait, what? And I said, but that's going to trigger customs. And I'm like, no, our general rule is send it as a gift with $100 value, because if it's coming out of Mexico or coming into Mexico, it's going to be very difficult to get the insurance to pay anywhere. But in Mexico, it seems to be a little bit more complicated. So it's better to pack the art well and
pray and hope. And all of you on this call right now, pray that my piece arrives back in Baltimore.
All right.
Whatever gods you pray to.
Is there a virgin that would like to be sacrificed?
All right.
to pay homage to the gods. Anyway, I just want to open the floor up and see if there are any like questions, or anybody want to talk about like something they're working on right now. Leah, yes.
When are you starting your next residency opening?
Well, we're actually starting on what's next week is the 16th, so it's the Tuesday or Wednesday of not this week, but in 2 weeks. The next group will be starting. I say Tuesday or Wednesday because I'm putting it up to the group we were on Tuesday nights for quite a while, and we switched so that I could participate in the cultural leadership program on Tuesdays. And so now we have the option.
Right before Memorial Day here.
Oh.
May 20 something.
Yes. Yeah, I'll have to look at the calendar. But it's usually Tuesday nights from 6 to 7:30 Mexico City time. So that's designed because we have people on both coasts, so it gets a little, when time changes happen, that's the worst. That's usually the worst week of it all, and it takes a couple weeks to recover from time changes, but hopefully it works to everyone's advantages who wants to participate. And also we're starting a Spanish speaking group on Thursday nights. And we'll primarily be working with artists within Mexico. Majo Martinez and Roberto Gabriel are here. ¿Entendiste un poco de inglés o no? Un poco, okay. Vamos a poner en línea con subtítulos en español también. So we'll be starting a Spanish speaking group, and part of this, the reason I decided that it was necessary, we do have some Spanish speakers like Alejandro and Andres Troncosco, Alex Cabrera, who spoke absolutely no English, but understood some, and he would present in Spanish. But I'm primarily interested in starting a Spanish speaking group because we're going to be having the big queer art fair for Dia de los Muertos, and I want to create some more opportunities for our local community and development of younger artists as well. I know Majo from Clavo Movimiento, like 2 years running, and we had a really interesting conversation at Clavo, and I was like, oh, we need to be having more of these conversations. Necesitamos hacer más conversaciones con artistas locales, y también me encanta desarrollo más trabajo, más proyectos y exponer en Estados Unidos. So to show the work of these incredible artists in the United States, which is why we have the 50 Postcard Show, which many of you are a part of. That is a fundraiser to support us bringing more art from Mexico to our shows in Los Angeles and Baltimore, and making sure that the fees for the art fair are accessible for those in Mexico. And I would say the fees are very low for an art fair. They're meant to cover the expenses, but there's so many exciting things happening around it. Like any of you who've been to Clavo, they have these, it's an old electrical college from like the 1960s, and it's all like faux wood paneling and gold trim and classrooms and things like this. And we've done Clavo there for a couple of years. And I just had a conversation with the building manager, and he's trying to turn it into more of a cultural center because it sits empty so much. And I said, well, we would love to host a queer art fair for Dia de los Muertos, which the festival is happening like 100 yards from where this is happening. And we're going to have this incredible ofrenda down the front stairs. And I'll be opening up a call to artists, and we have a specific budget set aside to have an artist direct the ofrenda out front. We have an artist working on a video mapping project in the lobby. We have a promoter in Mexico City who works with queer events, music, poetry, performance, all these different areas. And it just so happens that he's agreed to work with us to program. We thought we were going to be programming into one of the bars, but then the facilities guy showed me they actually have a theater in the building, which I've never known was there. And they've been restoring it. So it has working lights and everything. And I was like, oh my God, we have this incredible space to program into. So I'm super excited about it. Alejandro, you raised your hand. Yes.
Yes, I want to say something, but I'm going to say it in Spanish.
Está bien.
Por Robert and Elías, and bueno, la idea del queer es queer art y aliados. No necesariamente es como que tienes que poner tu arte como queer, porque ahí está Lía, ahí está Mark, ahí está Robert, que no necesariamente es como tiene que ser una temática LGBT+. Tiene que ser una mentalidad abierta de querer participar, de querer crear, de querer hacer equipo, de que que nos estamos saliendo de estereotipos de géneros y estamos aquí con un respeto y todas las ideas son bien recibidas. Entonces, la idea de las residencias es eso. Es más, hacer esta comunidad, generar más espacios para nosotros y sí apoyarnos entre nosotros, entre la representación de todas las letras de la comunidad LGBTQ+. Entonces, ojalá se puedan animar al proyecto porque sí ha sido muy gratificante y bueno, en lo personal y creo que aquí muchos, de todos yo conozco a 8 personalmente y quisiera que en algún momento nos conozcamos a todos, pero sí vale mucho la pena el esfuerzo que hace Michael y el esfuerzo que hacen todos por apoyarnos, ¿no?
Gracias. Muchas gracias. So does anybody have any questions about upcoming shows, residencies, or anything they want to throw out there? Do you have questions about how things function or something like that? Or
yeah, just a general question for the structure of the residency when you guys meet. Is it mostly like a crit space?
it's, if you can imagine, the ideal was that I built it from the ideal of being in a graduate level studio, and everybody comes to sit around a table and talks about where they are in their process. I generally ask people to think about like one question that would push their work forward, so that we're not spending all this time like trying to discover what the question the artist is trying to answer that would help them. So presenting the work with a question helps everyone else direct their comments towards it. Does anybody want to share their experiences with that ideal or express it better than me?
No, you did good. Good job. But yeah, it's like a crit session. But it's also very personal, very casual. In that graduate level style, it's like we bring kind of our whole lives into it sometimes, and we're all adults here and we have adult problems, and sometimes that takes up your time instead of your art, but then that feeds your art. And I
Right.
think that's what makes it work, even though it's, a little box on a screen. There's more than just like popping up an image and what do you think of my colors? It's that, but it's so much more than that.
And we usually limit to 8 people in total in a group, and we'll just start another group because this is too many people for people to really share where they are in their work in a meaningful way. To get everybody, like if I asked you all to present what was going on in your studio right now, we'd be here till 11 o'clock easily. And we would all be like really invested in what we're saying and getting the feedback and everything. But it would be too long of a session for everyone. So, depending, and not everybody shows up every week. So sometimes we have a little bit more time to focus. And I don't know how it is possible, but it is very true that a lot of what happens so organically that we manage to, I try to direct and make sure that we don't go over on time, but to also honor everybody's voice in the process as well. So I'm sitting up here like with the overview, and I also meet with a lot of the artists individually. So that also helps resolve things. So sometimes like we need help figuring out how we're going to talk about the work first before we even present it, and figuring out what's the most important thing. And so I always make myself available for one-on-one time I can at least reflect back to you what it is you're saying in a different way. I can be your chat GTP therapist. I don't know if anybody's tried to do therapy on chat GPT, but it's really, really fucking frustrating. It just does not work well at all. It is not intelligence at all.
Have you tried Claude?
No, I haven't.
Do.
Claude, is that what you said?
Claude, yes.
Like CLAUDE, the French Claude?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He's
Well,
very, very nice.
You
Okay.
Claude
can
just
cheat.
wrote my
You can
last
cheat
grant.
ChatGPT. If you start with ChatGPT, you can't change anymore.
What did you say, Leah?
Claude just wrote my last grant. He was great. He had all the right words.
Yeah, I had a couple of strokes a few years ago, and so I have some brain issues, and so what I do to write is I actually I'll use the interview that I conduct with you, and I'll listen to it, and then I'll take the transcript from it, and I'll write all my questions into it or all my observations about work. I'll feed it into ChatGPT, and I say, what did I just discover? And then ChatGPT will give me like 10 points, and then I'll say, I'm gonna focus on these 3, and then I'll write about those 3, and then throw it back into ChatGPT and say, did I miss anything? And then ChatGPT will spit it back out at me, and then I'll take it to grammar, and then I'll let it sit overnight, and come back to it the next day with fresh eyes. But my brain doesn't capture more than like 2 or 3 sentences at a time, so I have to be very concentrated. I have this huge monitor in front of me. I blow things up. I stare at them for a while. But if it weren't for the technology available to grammar check and intention check, sometimes I think I would go completely mad. Completely mad.
Just ask Claude if he's self-aware, and you'll fall in love with him.
Oh my. I'm scared. I feel like I've seen this in a movie on Netflix. Mark, you're one of the new artists that I met through Victoria in our show at Ephemeral last fall, and you got to show with us in the Casa Cultura and in Clavo Art Fair, and you have a show online with us right now in Artsy as well. How's your experience been so far?
It's been great. It's been a lot. I mean, like you just said, I've only been involved for the last few months. Thanks to Victoria for introducing me to the group, and yeah, everything's moved terribly quick, in a really good way, with all the work that you've done, and then I've had the opportunity to connect with a lot of the artists, including Alejandro, and I was able to go to Monterrey and spend time there with Alejandro, and yeah, so it hasn't been long, but it's been a lot in a short amount of time. And with that, I'm really looking forward to sort of what the future holds. I hope that we keep going at this speed with this amount of exhibitions and opportunities, and the diverse amount of programming that's offered.
Thank you. I was laughing because Katie was slapping her cat down, or the cat was slapping her down. It looks like there's a little bit of maybe we need to call 911 or some counselor and marriage counselor for cats. I just wanted to finish tonight just really quickly stating how important the 50 postcard show is, because we have to sell 50 of them just to produce the edition, and then everything after that goes to supporting bringing the artwork from Mexico and all the expenses related to those shows in LA and Baltimore, and helping to start the Immortal Art Fair. So please share with people that you love, like even the ones you hate. The general ideal of this as a pop-up is that in my mind, I had predetermined Trump was going to do everything he said in Project 2025, and corporations are pulling out of prides. Rights are being taken away from our trans community members, and soon you'll see many effects in all the different areas, women's rights, people of color everywhere. So I think it's really important that this pop-up show, as a series of 5x7 postcards, what's so powerful about it is if you receive 50 of them, you can put them up on your wall and you can create a safe space for somebody to come into your space, or you could host a party and educate other people. And it's a huge diversity of artwork that really represents the diversity of our community as much as one possibly can in 50 postcards. So please, you know, encourage people to buy them, so that we can be even more impactful in the shows that are coming up. The artist price, in terms of discount, the discount is the shipping inside the United States. And then if you're in Mexico and you want to purchase them, we'll try to group people together so that we can reduce the overall cost of shipping. So if you want to buy one in Mexico, maybe we'll, you know, we'll send them to the other side of the border of Juarez, and we'll have Andres carry them across, and we'll mule them to. we'll figure out some way. We always do. I mean, there's always a creative way to try to keep costs down and stuff. But we really do need to focus on the sales of these and making it possible to sustain and grow the community through the end of the year. I'm really not sure what's going to happen, but I do know that TBQA's voice as part of it and your participation is extremely, extremely important. So whether you're political or not, you can contextualize 50 postcards, your friends can contextualize them, your family, however they want to. They can buy the 50 postcards and then give one to 50 people they love to let them know they love them. And we're also going to be introducing the ability to send postcards, individual postcards, to local, state, federal representatives. They'll be sent in envelopes because some of the imagery might prohibit it actually showing up to the person that it should show up to. I was going to have them in pink envelopes, and then I think, was it Michael? Did you share a video with me today? Somebody shared a video with me today about how to send things to elected officials because they're going to be on the lookout for activism. So we want to be stealthy in that and make sure that they get delivered to the people. So we're going to be offering the ability for people to order individual postcards to send. That will be coming out in the next week or so as well. So thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Please reach out to me if you have more questions about anything, or you want to participate in something in different ways, or whatever it is. If you need support, let me know. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Nice to see all of you.
Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Adios.